Friday night football, swivel on it. Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. I hope you're all doing well. This is your Aston Villa versus Manchester United preview, plus more dressing room fallout. In fact, I'm going to just start calling it the reaction to dressing room nonsense at Manchester United show, because we've got more coming out today around Dean Henderson, which we'll talk about, but I mainly want to be talking about Villa versus Manchester United. The reason I was talking about Friday night football, swivel on it, Manchester United against Middlesbrough has been moved to Friday the 4th of February at 8 o'clock, so we'll be playing 8 o'clock Friday night football. Swivel on it, I hate it. I don't like Friday night football. Some of you do. Well done, you've won, but at what cost? Anyway, let's get into it. We're going to be talking about Villa against Manchester United. That's the team I think Rangnick's going to pick. That's the team I think we should play. Oh, get off that, because we'll talk about that in a moment. We're also going to be talking about this talk of who the leak is at Manchester United. Storming out on Monday from the dressing room. Dean Henderson is apparently who's done this. We'll be talking about that in a moment, as well as a few other things, as well as Aston Villa, of course. Big game, and looking very much forward to it. But before we get into all of that, as you know, on our previews, we're sponsored by Ultimate Fan, and that's a fantasy league app. Ultimate Fan is a fantasy football game with a twist. Imagine fantasy football combined with super cool pack openings. The game is super simple to play. All you've got to do is be over 18 and download the app using the link in the description. It's totally free. Follow the sign-up system, and then you'll be able to start opening your packs for the coming weekend and win big cash prizes. There is also Ultimate Fan Plus for you to explore. This section features paid for gold and silver packs where you can receive extra cards, exclusive content, and much more. And as I say, you can win cash prizes if your team performs well, because basically what happens is you open your packs, you get players, you put them into your team. It's not 11 aside as well, it's half of that. So you pick your players, they accumulate points from how they do on the weekend, and then the people with the most points, each week there are prizes available for those teams that perform the best. This week's prize pool is a massive 8,500 again, so lots and lots of cash prizes to be won if your team performs well. As always, if you want to check out my team, we've posted a pic on the United Stand Twitter page. If you head over there, make sure to drop your screenshots of your team in the comments for us to check out. And if you want to take part in this week's awesome game, then it's free to play. You've just got to be over 18. Hit the link in the video description and you're up and running. So big shout out to Ultimate Fan. Thank you very much for sponsoring the show. Let's move into the show then. And I want to talk about the game against Aston Villa, because I'm going to say this right at the start. And I really, really hope I'm going to be wrong here. I think we lose on Saturday. No. I've caught myself. I think it'll be a draw on Saturday. I don't think we'll win. But I'm worried. And I think I've spoken to quite a few people about this. And I've listened to quite a few people talking about this Villa game, and I agree. I think most United fans feel the same. We've been playing really badly lately. Villa were probably a little bit unfortunate. On another day, they might have got a result on Monday. This game is at their place. They've brought Digne in, Coutinho. There's a feel-good factor. The system's working well for them, and there is a feeling we've not lost to Villa at Villa Park since 1995. This is a massive record. It's 26 years. And Villa are up for this, so I think it's going to be a very, very, very difficult game for us. My only hope is that we respond, but I am going to go into this game based on the last few games saying I can't see us winning this game. I think it will be a draw. And also we'll talk about how we're going to line up and Villa as well. But look, I want to hit it head on. There is some there's a lot going around social media today about Dean Henderson. Look, I think at some point you've got to turn a corner. And I think as well, you've also got to appreciate the situation. As somebody who's had constant lies spread about them and people gunning for me all the time, over 6 years, I've had people spreading lies, people, going after me, spreading nonsense about me. So I know how damaging those things can be. And I just think as a fan base and in football in general and in society in general, we need to start thinking about things before we start witch hunting people. There are human beings behind this. So the story is that Dean Henderson apparently stormed out of training or dressing room or somewhere, having been told he wasn't going to play on Monday night and David De Gea was going to play. There is also a story today going around, I've seen it on social media as well, that Dean Henderson is the leak and is leaking the information out of the club. Now, look, one thing I don't like is when people start spouting off that they know information for fact, because nobody likes a big head, and whenever you say you've got a source, people never believe you anyway. What I would say about this is that you've got to look at it from both sides, and what will happen is, because Dean Henderson's been mentioned, people will go in on Dean Henderson, traitor, get him out of the club, knobhead, this, that and the other. That's what will happen. We know that's what happens, especially on social media. I would say this. I would not name him as the leak. I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's advisable, because if you get it wrong, you could get sued. So I wouldn't say that. Would it surprise me if he was one of the leaks from the dressing room? Maybe not. I mean, I think, you look at a lot of stuff that was going on around De Gea around March time, but that could just be a relationship with certain journalists. The reality is, and what I would say, and I'd be 100% sure on this, is whether Dean Henderson's the leak or not, he's not the only one. And that's categoric. So it would be very unfair to blame everything on him, even if it was him, when I know for a fact it's more than him. It's not just one player. So you're telling me all the stories we've had over the last 2 weeks about mass unhappiness and everything like that, it's really just the reserve goalkeeper on his own. They'd lock him in a cupboard and tell him to piss off. They just wouldn't listen to him. It's more than him. And he's got mates and stuff as well. So that's a load of nonsense. It's not very fair. I don't agree with that. I don't like the fact that he's being outed as the leak, because there's more than one anyway, even if it was him, which is not what I'm going to say on that. So in relation to the leak rumours, really irresponsible to start chucking his name out if you're not going to chuck out everybody else's name. And clearly, you don't know everybody else's name. So why chuck one player out? I think it's really, really unfair. The second thing about storming out on training, which I think is the bigger point, is that these things happen. These things happen. Like, players get pissed off and storm off training grounds. Players do that. And look, absolutely 100% David De Gea should have played in the game on Monday night. We want to try and win the cup this year. And David De Gea has arguably been our best player this season. I don't agree with Dean Henderson starting on Monday night. And I agree with Rangnick. I know Ollie would have started him, because Ollie would have been like, I've got to give Dino a game. But ultimately, we're trying Dean Henderstorm. Good point there from Kanda. Dean Henderstorm. That should have been the headline of the thumbnail. But no, ultimately, I agree with Rangnick picking De Gea. We're way past fairness now. And look, in fairness, maybe Dean Henderson should have played in the cup. Maybe Donny should have played in the cup as well. Maybe Lingard should have started. Fairness would suggest they should have started, but we're trying to win the tournament, and nobody can argue with David De Gea being the goalkeeper in that game on Monday night. However, that doesn't mean that Dean Henderson shouldn't be pissed off, and if he stormed out, he stormed out. Ultimately, we should be selling him anyway. I said this yesterday. I actually respect Dean Henderson, Donny van der Beek, Anthony Martial, Eric Bailly, if they are trying to get moves in January, because why are they trying to get moves? They're trying to get moves to play football. There are certain other players at that club who are happy to run their contract down so they can make more money in the summer. That's up to them. I don't respect that, but that's up to them. I don't dislike them for it, but it's up to them. But people like Dean Henderson and Anthony Martial, who are actively trying to get out of the club because they're not being picked, what is it you want them to do? What is it people want them to do? You don't want them to play, but you want them to stay and sit there and just to pick up the wages. We've been moaning about players like this for years. Deadwood. So I applaud Dean Henderson, Anthony Martial, Donny van der Beek, Eric Bailly, any player that's trying to get out of the club this month because they're not being picked. Surely that's what you want. Proactive players that actually want to play football. Maybe we should have looked at them in more detail over previous years, because maybe they've got the right attitude and some of the prats we keep in haven't. So I've got no problem with Dean Henderson if he stormed out. I've got no problem if Dean Henderson's going to leave, because that to me shows that, he wants to play football. So I don't think there's much of a story really, in essence. I probably wasted a couple of minutes talking about something. Hi Mark, hope you have a good day, says Cream. Thank you very much. I really, really don't think it's a story. I think the story was Ronaldo this morning. Let's move on together as a fan base and a club and players and try and sort this mess out. Dean Henderson, let's get him a move. Let's not turn him into a villain, and let's definitely not attach him to all the leaks from the dressing room, because there is absolutely 100%, you can believe me or not, categorically, even if he is involved, he's not the only one. There's not even two, there's not even three, there's more than three. So, look, I'm not going to sit here and start going, I know who it is. I know who it is. I've got a bloody good idea who it is, but ultimately I don't actually think it's my place to start putting that information out. And also, I don't think it's necessarily fair, because if I did put it out, there's probably 2 or 3 I don't know about. So look, let's stop playing the blame game. Let's stop assassinating people's reputation online. The reality is there's more than one person leaking information anyway, and some of them aren't even players. And secondly, the reality is if Dean Henderson did storm out on Monday, it's probably because he wants to play football. It was right not to pick him. Let's sort him out and move. And let's move on in a constructive way. Right, let's talk about Aston Villa against Manchester United. Massive game in the Premier League. I've already given you my prediction that I think we will struggle in this game unless we see a new Manchester United, which is what I'm hoping to see, a different Manchester United. So let's talk about the team news straight away. This is how I think, and we're going to talk about Villa, but this is how I think Rangnick is going to line up against Villa. And I'll explain for why, because people are going to go, I don't like it, Mark. I don't bloody like it, Mark. Well, I don't like it either, and that's the team I would pick, which, as you can see, is very different. I think it's got 3 or 4 players different, but I'll explain why I'd go with this team, and this is why I think Rangnick will go with this team here. So, Slippy G's revenge. They're up for it. Look, I live in the Midlands. I live about half an hour outside of Birmingham. I know a lot of Villa fans around here. They actually came away from that game. I know some Villa fans who went to the game on Monday night. You know, so that game finishes at what, 10 o'clock. They've got an hour and a half drive back. They're not in home till midnight. Spoke to a few of them and they said, look, you know, disappointing to lose, but we'll take a lot from that, bring it on Saturday. So that's basically the attitude Villa have. They're very confident. They didn't see anything on Monday night that makes them scared about this 25-year wait to beat Manchester United at home, which is a ridiculous record, and I think it's up for grabs on Saturday night. Isn't our boy Ronaldo utterly wonderful? What a winning attitude. He's the GOAT, says Andy and Bruno. He certainly is. So I think Rangnick's obviously going to go with De Gea in goal. Tellez will play at left back because Luke Shaw is suspended, as is Scott McTominay. I think he will play Maguire and Varane as centre-backs. I do not agree with Harry Maguire coming into the team. I think Harry Maguire playing on Saturday night is a much bigger story than Dean Henderson storming off, if that's true. I really do, because Dean Henderson is going to go on loan or he's going to leave. Harry Maguire has played terribly this season and walks back into the team. At what point do Manchester United draw a line in the sand and start acting like a football club? I'm sure Harry Maguire's not going to slap a transfer request in if he doesn't start on Saturday night. So why are we doing it? Why are we allowing this great football club to be run on reputation and not on actual performance? We've got to get back to performance. Rangnick must be given the freedom to pick a team on performance. And I don't think Lindelof played especially well on Monday night, but he has played reasonably well this season, and there is no doubt that his performance on Monday night, I wouldn't say it was heroic, but was very, very, very positive for us, because we had no Bailly, we had no Jones, and we had no Maguire. Therefore, we had no centre-back. So Lindelof, who's had problems over Christmas both personally and professionally, you know, he's had COVID, he had an issue with his son, he had the heart monitor problem, didn't he, as well? To be thrown back into a game like that, and he played reasonably well, and I think he got, you know, there was a few mistakes, but he got better as the game went on. And I just think Lindelof should play with Varane, or even Phil Jones, but not Harry Maguire. But I think he will walk straight back in. Even blind and deaf people can guess that Henderson was the one, says Lucas Wade. Okay, I think he'll go with Wan-Bissaka at right back. Now, again, I would go with Dalot, but I think he'll go with Wan-Bissaka at right back because we've seen this before against Wolves. I think many of us wanted Dalot to play against Wolves, but we basically said on the preview for the Wolves game, if he's going to go attacking, he'll go Dalot. If it's going to be defensive, he'll go Wan-Bissaka. Well, this is away from home against the team that had a lot of the ball. I don't think he'll go with Dalot. I think he'll go with Wan-Bissaka, expecting to defend a lot. The amount of United records other teams are breaking is actually criminal, says Jack. Into the midfield, we have no McTominay, so I think he will play Matic. I don't think you can play Matic in a midfield too. I think Matic is going to have to sit. And I think he'll use Fred and Bruno either side of Matic to give us more men in the midfield, because Villa play with 3 in the midfield. I think we'll play with 3 in the midfield. I think he'll put Matic to sit and he'll put Bruno and Fred. And I think we're going to play very deep, by the way, as well. For that reason, I think he'll play Rashford for the break. He'll play Sancho on the right to provide support to Wan-Bissaka, and I think it'll be Ronaldo through the middle. So effectively, I think what we're going to do is probably something that we're quite used to doing away from home, which is try and play compact, deep, and then hit on the brake. And I think that's what we will do, and I think that's what Rangnick will do, because ultimately these players are not responding to the tactics that Rangnick wants to play, so he's probably got to play to their strengths. Everything I heard from Ronaldo interview is all I wanted to hear from a true captain. Maguire doesn't even deserve to grace the bench, but he will end up starting. Look, for me, this is a massive, massive problem. He should not start the game on ability. Forget the captaincy. Jones should start ahead of him, or Lindelof should start ahead of him. But he'll walk straight back into the team because he's Harry fucking Maguire. I'm captain. He'll walk straight back in, and this is where United, look, we might have some short-term pain, but long-term gain. We've got to move away from the mistakes of the last 3 years where players are just walking back in on reputation. The biggest example of this failing was Leicester. Do we want another Leicester? It's almost got echoes of Leicester all over it. We don't expect Maguire to play, but always fit again. He goes straight in. Nobody really wants him to play. We get absolutely smacked all over the place because he plays crap. I just wouldn't put him near this team at the moment. And that's on performance. So let's see what happens. Team viewer, you couldn't really make it up. Did the boardroom intend this commercial arrangement as some sort of bad joke, says Trussy. So that's how I think that Rangnick would start. Now, before we talk about Villa, this is how I would start. So it's a bit of a diamond, to be honest with you, but it's a very tactical setup for the Villa game, and it's certainly something I think that Rangnick would like to do. Surely Udani will start after Ralph's comments about his game on Monday. Well, as you can see, Kevin, that's a well-timed super chat, because this is how I would line up against Villa, and I'll explain why. So De Gea in goal, Lindelof and Varane would be my centre-backs. Varane isn't number 4, I know that, but I've got him as number 4 there. Tellez at left back and Dalot as right back. Now, the fullbacks are going to be really important in this system because I want them to get forward, even though we're away from home. But how do I compensate with that? Well, I do drop Matic in at the base of the midfield, because he will drop in between the two centre-backs, which gives you 3 defenders or 4 defenders. If Tellez goes forward and Matic drops in, you've still got 4 defenders. I would then play Donny to the right of him and Fred to the left of him, so that if Tellez goes forward, Fred's there to cover him, and if Dalot goes forward, Van der Beek's there to support him. And then at the head of the diamond, I play Bruno Fernandes, who we know can track back and get involved as well. And then I would play Sancho off Ronaldo, because Sancho again can support down that right hand side, and I think Fred and Tellez on the left hand side are more than capable anyway, and Matic is more left sided to pull across as well, and Ronaldo is the front player, and that's what I would do. I would go with, you can call it what you like, it's not really a 4-4-2, it's not really a diamond, because I don't want Sancho to play up front. I want Sancho to be supportive in the midfield. In many ways, you could explain the way I would like it to work is probably more like this. 4-3-2-1, but ultimately Sancho would have more license to be there and Bruno would be more licensed to be there, and I just think it would work well. Do I think he's going to do this? Never in a million years do I think he'll play like this, but I think if you put Donny, Matic and Fred as the workers in the midfield, Bruno to support them with Sancho, and then Ronaldo up on his own, but your fullbacks have got to get forward, so Dalot's got to play. There's no point in playing this system if he's not going to get forward and he's not going to get forward, because ultimately that's where we're going to get a lot of the chances for Ronaldo. I think this system would work a charm. I don't think we've got many wingers at the moment. I think playing with wingers is a bad idea. Sancho is our best and only winger. Greenwood and Rashford are struggling there. I think this would be a very, very good team, and I think this is the sort of team where you would use a Donny more. But obviously, I think he'll go with more of a team like this, which is why we never ever see Donny playing football, because you've always got to accommodate 2 wide players who don't work. The wide players in the United system should not be playing against Villa. The fullbacks couldn't overlap. They didn't support Cavani and Bruno, and they were really, really greedy. So I wouldn't start Rashford or Greenwood in this game. And if I was going to make a sub, it would be Greenwood in. But I think that is 100% the way to go against Villa. You've got to get your fullbacks forward. You've got Donny, you've got Fred, and you've got Matic, who can support the fullbacks getting forward. You've got Bruno and Sancho for creativity, and then you've got Ronaldo up front. And the reality is, against Villa, it's all going to be about this. It's all going to be a battle in midfield, and then you've got Bruno and Sancho for a bit of creativity. Your fullbacks get forward, and you've got the best finisher in the world if we can get chances. We know this is not at Villa Park. It's not at Villa Park. We're not going to be on the edge. I mean, United never spend much time on the edge of anybody's box, but we're not going to spend much time on the box. But I think Rashford will start. I think Maguire will start, because that's what happens at Manchester United. You get chance after chance after chance after chance if you're a certain profile of player. But for me, I would go with a different way. How can you expect Rangnick to solely pick the starting 11 when you have someone who's got no CV as a coach being our technical director barking instructions on the touchline, says Kent. Well, I think you call it the Fletcher sandwich, don't you? Ralph Rangnick, he's got Darren Fletcher there, stood next to him, sat next to him in training and everything, and then he's got Darren Fletcher there, who's his boss as a technical director. How the hell can Ralph Rangnick ignore that person without that Fletcher telling him you've not got the job? It doesn't work. It's Manchester United. It's typical. So there. A lot of people liking those tactics. I like it a lot. I really do like it. I actually spent some time thinking about it this week, because I think if you are into your football, it's very rare that you get to play the team that you're going to play at the weekend just before. So we had a real scouting mission for Villa and what their strengths are. I thought Ramsey was superb for Villa. The way he picks the ball up and runs with it. We've got to pack the midfield ourselves. And obviously McGinn and Luis are very, very combative midfield. So we've got to play three in the midfield. We have to play three in the midfield, definitely. Let's go back. Anyway, let's talk about Aston Villa, because they will be a different proposition. I've got to applaud Aston Villa, by the way. I mean, one thing I would say is about Bissouma. We spoke about this with Fabrizio on Monday. So it's Slow Sports News. Bissouma unlikely to leave Brighton this January transfer window. He wants to play for a top 4 team who are interested in him in the summer. However, if Villa meet Brighton's transfer fee, then Bissouma may be persuaded by Gerrard. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But we know that story. We know what Villa are up to. Digne will be playing on Saturday. Coutinho depends on his fitness, but he'd probably make the bench at least. So they've added Coutinho and Digne to the team that played against us. They do want to bring Bissouma in. I doubt they'll get him, but they do. I mean, look. The transfer activity that Villa have done, what Villa have done, and you sort of wish United have done it. They sack a manager that's not doing well. They go for their number one target. The number one target's Gerrard, who says, "I'll take the job, but you better give me money." They're giving him money, and they're doing well. And Targett is a good left back. Digne is better. If that's Man United, they're just going to go, "We don't need a left back. You've got Targett." Villa have gone and got him a better left back. So, I can't applaud Villa enough in the way that the club's run, the way they handled the Grealish thing. They're a very dangerous team, and they're a very ambitious team. And really, their recruitment and ambition over the last 2 years, you could argue, has been better than United's. It's only the fact that we've spent, it's that amount of money we've spent. Mark, I think Ralph should get United playing a 4-3-3 instead of his 4-2-2, as our players are probably more suited to what do you think? I agree, Andy, and I think that Rangnick probably will resort to that, because he'll have seen what happened on Monday night like we all did. He's got to sort that midfield out. If Maguire had said Ronaldo's comments, he would have been ridiculed. There is a reason why he's never been an out-and-out captain at any time. Arrogance as Rash are. Well, I said that this morning. I think if Harry Maguire does that very same Sky interview that Ronaldo's done, it would get ridiculed, because you can only sit there and say some of the things Ronaldo said if you're Ronaldo. It's like walking the walk. You can talk the talk, but you better walk the walk. And I think with Maguire, people are fed up of him just talking the talk and not walking the walk, because he's never walked the walk. But with Ronaldo, he has. Apparently, John McGinn is suspended, says Rory Saunders. So that's massive. I didn't even know that. I don't normally go that deep into Villa with regards to their suspensions, but that is very, very interesting if that is true, because McGinn is suspended, says Glenn. So McGinn being suspended, I mean, Coutinho's not really a replacement for McGinn. McGinn's an all-action midfielder. That's not what Coutinho is. But it gives us a bit of a chat. I mean, look, we're missing Luke Shaw and McTominay, and I firmly believe that we will miss McTominay in this game. We'll miss Luke Shaw in this game. I think that Luke Shaw's a better left back than Telles. certainly defensively. And I think that Matic worries me because he's not mobile. So, look, I don't think McTominay and Fred are the answer to any question, but I certainly think McTominay and Fred have proven that they're more valuable to us in away games than Matic is. Jones to start, played better than Lindelof and Harry. I don't mind Silo. I don't mind if Phil Jones does start, but Harry Maguire shouldn't start. But let's talk about Villa for a moment. I've not looked at their whole season form because ultimately Dean Smith was manager for the first 2 or 3 months. But effectively, they're very much a middle-of-the-road team, Villa, which is what I think Gerrard is trying to halt, really. He wants them to become more consistent winners. They've done reasonably well since he's been there, but I think I'm right in saying they've taken 12 points from 24 since he's been there. So 4 wins and 4 losses. They don't draw, Villa. They've lost to Brentford, Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City. So 3 of those losses straight away. I think Villa fans and Gerrard would look at it and go, well, yeah, we've won 4, we've lost 4, but that needs to settle down because we're not going to be playing Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool over the next 8 games. So I think with Villa that they're looking to start going on a run. What better way to do that than to break their, 26-year run at home without beating Man United? That's 26. That must be 26 seasons in a row they haven't beaten us then, because Villa haven't been relegated and neither have we. So we've played them 26 times at Villa Park over the last 26 years and not lost to them. Makes you worried. I actually was on about this today. I was at one of those games at Villa Park. We were 2-0 down. I can't remember what year it was. It must have been, God, I dread to think, maybe 2000 and... I don't know. I'll take a rough guess and say it was 2009. And we were 2-0 down at... Villa were relegated in 2016. God. You know what? I'm getting old. I'm really getting old. I can't even remember that. The young folk, the boomers, they've sat me down. Fair play. But look, yeah, we were 2-0 down at Villa Park, and it's only 1 year out of 26 that they were relegated. Then, all right, 25 years out of 26, we've beaten them at Villa Park. But remember, you've got to chuck cup games into there as well. I don't think they've beaten us in a cup game either, so it's probably approaching 30. We were 2-0 down anyway, and they were all over us, and they had a chance to go 3-0 up, and they didn't take it. And last 10 minutes, we got 2-2, and I remember Vidic scored. I can't remember who scored the other one, but they were absolutely gutted, Villa. They were absolutely gutted. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. I think in the Premier League this season, they've scored at home 15 and conceded 16. That they are a team that's very much, I think they're mid-table in the league as well. They're mid-table with their home record. They're mid-table with their away records. They're very much 12th place Villa at the moment. But I think they're way better than that. Where they're going to go this season, I think if they got 8th, it would be a good season. I think next season they would look to go again. But if they were to beat us on Saturday, the momentum they can take from that and the confidence they will take from that. And the thing about Villa, and I said it in the FA Cup, it feels a little bit like deja vu. Since Gerrard's gone to that club, they've never lost a game where they've been battered. And I know Chelsea beat them 3-1, but even that didn't feel like a 3-1. Man City beat them by 1 goal. Liverpool at Anfield beat them by 1 goal. Brentford beat them 2-1. They really should have won that. So they're a competitive team in every game that they play. There's a little part of me that thinks we're going to win on Saturday because everyone's expecting us to lose. And I'm happy to go into the game like that. I'm happy to go into the game expecting it to be very difficult, expecting us not to win, and then be pleasantly surprised by a vintage United performance. And who would count against that, especially with our record at Villa Park? But the realist in me is looking at the Norwich game, the Newcastle game, and thinking, we should have won those games. We should have gone into them games and won 3-0. And we really battled for a 1-0 penalty win at Norwich and a draw at Newcastle. So I think we are vulnerable. I think that Villa are going to be massively up for it. I think they see a revenge in the league. And I think that how Rangnick lines it up is going to be really, really important. And as I said, that team on my left is the team I predict he will pick. And for me, there are weaknesses there. You're reliant on an out-of-form Rashford suddenly becoming good. You're reliant on an out-of-form captain, in the defence. As I said, I think this is the team to go with. No Rashford, he's on the bench. Play Sancho and Bruno off Ronaldo. Get your fullbacks forward. Pack your midfield with Fred, Donny and Matic. And play Lindelof and Varane. And I think we're a much better team for an away performance set up like that. As I say, if you play like that away from home, you've got Marcus Rashford, who's not really putting a shift in defensively at the moment. That can knock you down to 10 men straight away. So, Harry Maguire's bang out of form. I want these players to be players of United for the future, but in the immediate future, I think take them out, On the positive side, Mark, next summer, if we given the correct manager and backing, our season could be looking a lot different next year, says Rash. You think about you should be the manager, says Critic. Well, I think Rangnick's more than capable of doing it. He's a great coach. It's just whether... I worry about the politics at Manchester United. It sounds preposterous to me, because this would never happen at Chelsea, Man City or Liverpool. But I don't know whether Ralph Rangnick can say, I'm playing Varane and Lindelof against Villa. I don't know whether he can do that. I don't know whether he's got people saying you can't do that. Harry's got to play. I don't know. Because people will say, well, that's ridiculous. But we've seen that ridiculous happen for the last 3 years. We've seen people walk straight back into the team. And especially at centre-back, we've seen Eric Bailly be man of the match away to Chelsea and then drop to the next game. We've seen people have good games and then they're out the team because somebody's back. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure Rangnick would play Lindelof and Varane. And also, can I just say as well, you've got a good case to say Phil Jones should play because he was man of the match against Wolves. But you've got a good case to say Lindelof should play. Like, since when have United dropped a centre-back when, apart from people like Eric Bailly and Lindelof so that Maguire can come back in, but we didn't concede a goal against Villa. Lindelof didn't play particularly well, but we didn't concede. That's a clean sheet. If Rangnick adheres to the principles that he did when he first came into the club. Remember, Carrick's 11 beat Arsenal. Our very next game against Palace, he basically picked the same team and said, I can't really change a winning team. This is a really important point. A manager that wasn't even his team. You're a new manager, you can change what the bloody hell you like. And Rangnick came in and went, I'm going to stick with a winning team. And then they beat Palace, I'm going to stick with a winning team. And the only time he changed it was when there was injury. Why would you change your defence when it didn't concede? Now, I'm not saying why would you change a winning team anyway, because obviously there were changes made to that team because it was a cup game. Ronaldo would need to start. Rashford was poor. Greenwood was poor. McTominay suspended. Luke Shaw suspended. So you've got to... The way you set your attack and midfield up is different because you're away from home. But, why would you change Varane and Lindelof when they kept a clean sheet? But it probably will happen. It probably will happen. Quaz says, Dean Henderson stormed out of training because he got told he was getting sold to Southampton and he thought might as well go now. And Mark, have you ever thought about becoming a manager coach? I've done a bit of coaching. I'm sure many of you have done. I do enjoy it, but... it's an all or nothing thing, isn't it? And I'm not sure I've got the time to do it anymore. I think Carrick should have a chance as a manager. Hopefully, I'm sure he will do. I'm sure he'll be back in football at some point. Maybe he can get the band back together, Ollie, McKenna and Carrick. Mark for the United job. Make sure you smash a like on the video, brother. I am on Twitch, Satish. I'd seen the word Twitch, and I just wanted to confirm to people that I am going to be on Twitch. If you didn't catch earlier on, Manchester United's game against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup has been moved forward to the Friday night. I think it's the 4th of January. 4th of February, sorry, that we're going to be playing that game. There's all sorts of people moaning about the FA Cup. Apparently, Liverpool have got to play Cardiff at 12 o'clock on a Sunday. So, yeah, we've got Friday night at 8 o'clock. I don't like 8 o'clock Friday night games, to be honest with you. But, it is what it is. And we will crack on with it. But look, I do want to just reiterate something. there is this stuff flying around about Dean Henderson, and I don't think we'll beat Villa at the weekend. I'm going to go with a draw. Don't know what you lot are going to go for. I'm going to go 1-1, but I hope we do win. At some point, I will tell you this. I'll promise you this. At some point, United are going to go into a game and put on a good performance you're not expecting. And when that happens, I think we can start to look forward. But I'm not so sure it's going to happen on Saturday because I think Villa are a good side. Kepa at Chelsea was benched for Mendy. That would never happen at United. Too much politics and ego to admit they're wrong. That's why Maguire ain't going anywhere, says Jermaine Decree. So there is this... I am coach for my Sunday League team in the Netherlands. We're currently last place at 13. I show your videos for motivation. Oh, thanks, mate. So you're bottom of the league because of that, John. Thanks. Yeah, I just want to reiterate what I was talking about at the start. There are these rumours going around on social media about Dean Henderson, that he stormed out on Sunday because he wasn't going to be picked on the Monday, and that he is the leak in the dressing room. As I've said before, we as a fan base need to start moving forward. As a club, we need to start moving forward, and the dressing room needs to start moving forward. We've had probably months of this, but certainly publicly, we've had 2 weeks of these dressing room stories now. And, you know, if you can't start coming together now, it's never going to come together. So we need to start turning a new page. It's really unfair that Dean Henderson has been outed as the dressing room leak, because whether he is or he isn't, it's not just him. So it's not just one person. So it's really wrong. And as I said, as somebody who's had lie after bullshit said about them over the years, it's just wrong. It's wrong that is being levelled against him, because he's not the only one. And even if he is the one, and I don't necessarily think he is, but if he is, then there's more than that. And as for storming out, I mean, I just think it's a non-story. As I said, the thing you need to focus on mostly is Villa at the weekend, and why is Harry Maguire walking straight back into that team when he needs dropping? So Dean Henderson's not going to play against Villa. He was never going to play against Villa. So why is it a big story to talk about Dean Henderson potentially storming out because he didn't get picked against Villa in the Cup? Like, I respect it in a way. All right, it's a bit petulant, but he wants to play football. At least he's trying to play football. At least he's trying to get a move like Martial. At least they're not just sat on the bench running their contracts down. He wants to go. He wants to play football. You don't want him to play for United. You want De Gea in goal. So, you know, I respect it in a way. He wants to play football. Martial wants to play football. They're not just going to sit here on a wait. I mean, he's on 110 grand a week. He'll be on more than most goalkeepers in the Premier League. He could sit there and go, I'm just going to sit it out. He wants to play football. You know, he's probably got the right attitude. He's just not the right player for us at the moment. Thoughts on this lineup? 4-2-3-1. De Gea, Delot, Lindelof, Varane, Shaw, Telles, Matic, Fred, Sancho, Van der Beek, Bruno, Ronaldo. Fullbacks offer width with Bruno and Sancho narrow. It's pretty much my team, mate. That's my team. That's basically my team. So, yeah, I do agree with that. Good one, Noah. Anyway, look, I am going to be on Twitch at 3 o'clock, so about 15 minutes I'll be on Twitch. Links in the video description for that. Bit of TUFC FIFA. I wasn't going to do one today, but I've got a spare hour or so I thought, yes, let's do it. Have a bit of sneak. Links in the video description for that. I'll be live, so give us a follow. Just click the link and follow us, and you'll get your notification, or I'll tweet it out on @MarkGoldbridge. And remember, Ultimate Fan, links in the video description. 8,500 cash prize pool again. You've got to be over 18. Click the link in the description. You get set up. You'll get your packs to open. Select your team for the weekend, and if you get the most points, you'll be in the cash prize pool. So there you go. Check it out. Thanks very much. Speak to you in a bit, and I don't know whether we are playing Burnley today, but I'll see you on Twitch. Thanks for watching. And 7 o'clock show tonight, because Liverpool are playing Arsenal. That's football watch along. So we're 7 o'clock tonight again. Speak to you in a bit.